In this tutorial, I'm going to introduce you to the concepts of materials. I'm also going to show you the idea of how to assign a material or color to more than one surface of an object. So I'm going to run through this with the assumption that you've already gone through and set up a max start file. So if you haven't done that, find the tutorial for that and do that. So first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to click in perspective to make it active. I'm going to click on sphere. I'm going to go to keyboard entry, and here under radius, I'm going to enter a value of 100, and I'm going to click create. Now I right click to exit that and hit Z, and I now have a sphere out here in the world. Now over here under name and color, you can click on that and you can select different colors. If I click off, you see that changes the color of my wireframe. Now all we're really doing is just adjusting this base shader that's on here. In order to really get good control of our models, we need to get into the material editor. And to do that, I'm going to click up here under rendering. I'm going to go to render setup. And you want to make sure that for the purposes of anything related to my tutorials of my class, you want to make sure your renderer is set to scanline renderer. I'm going to close that now. Now I'm going to do rendering, material editor, Slate material editor. So let's move this over. It popped up in another window of mine. Yours will probably open up right in the main viewport. So the material editor allows you to assign complex shaders to your machine. So over here on the left, you have the different material types. I'm going to just come down here. Scanline may be collapsed. If it is collapsed, open it up because you want to find a standard legacy material. I'm going to drag that over. I'm going to select my material, right click, and say assign material to selection. Why don't I use scanline? Why do I use standard legacy? The reason for that is simple. All of the material work that we're going to be doing is going to be in other software. We'll either be doing it in Substance Painter or inside of a game engine. In the case of this class, it will be inside the Unreal Engine. Eventually, you'll be working in Unity. You may do work inside of Marmoset. These are all different programs you'll be doing it. 3ds Max is not the place for you to be going in and doing a lot of work with PBR materials. It's simply not worth it. The renderer isn't powerful enough. And for the purposes of this class, which is a class covering the basics, we're sticking to the old-fashioned standard legacy because it works just fine. Now, we've right-clicked, we assign that material. You'll notice that with that material selected, it actually has little dotted lines. I could drag over another material, and that one is now the current active one. I'm going to double click on the thumbnail to make it larger. You can see the difference between the two. One of them has little hash lines on the corners. That means that is currently assigned to a model. And if you see the dotted lines, its properties are available over here. If you want to change the color, you click on diffuse. And that's where I can come in and change the color of it. All right? I have all sorts of options over here to go around and shift and change the color that's on my model. Anything I do now over on the side to change that base shader only affects the wireframe as it shows up. So in addition to being able to change things at colors, there's a lot more that you can do with materials. There's maps that you can assign to it, which again is really not something we'll really be doing much of in here. You can also go in and adjust the specular. If I click on this spinner and drag it up, you can see how now it's shiny on this block. If I click on gloss and drag that, I can now control, and I could make this, give this like this hard. Now it looks like it's a hard object, right? Hard, shiny surface of an object. You could even go in and change the specular to be another color, and so that now you get this sort of iridescent look, maybe like a car. So that's really all you need to know about assigning materials to an object, is just going through and doing that. If you want to assign more than one material to an object, what you would do is you would need to come up here to General and bring over this node called a multi-subobject. Now I'm going to have my model selected. I'm going to right click and say assign material to selection. Now I can drag over a material and plug it into the connection slots. So what you're seeing is that this is a node-based system, and we're connecting the different nodes to each other in order to get them to show up on a model. Coming over here, this material is being assigned to the multi-sub-object, which allows us to assign it. Let's bring over one more standard and plug that in. And then I can click on the primary one, and just to make it easier to work with, I'm going to change the number to 3 because that's the number we have. Now I can click on each one of these and change their colors very easily. And now you see our model here. I'm going to right click and say convert to edit poly. When you go into Polygon, you'll see there's a rollout called Polygon Material Ids. I'm going to collapse all these to get it to be right up here at the top. Polygon Material Ids. If you select a polygon, it'll tell you which ID it is. Now currently I've selected all these. Let's double click here to make this active in the details. You can see they're all assigned to ID2. If I come here and region select, I can assign this to ID1. And now I can come here at the bottom and I can assign this to ID3. And that's how you get more than one material on an object. You can go through, you can manually select them by hand or one at a time, whatever is easiest for you to work with. But that's how you get more than one material onto an object.